their own thing, telling me they are willing to shut down the federal government if this border isn't shut down.
Fox's Bill Malosian in Eagle Pass, Texas. More than 100 Iranians dead after 2 explosions in that country. It happened during an event honoring an Iranian general that was killed in a U.S. drone strike 4 years ago. There's no word on who's behind these latest explosions. Hundreds of prisoners of war returned to their homeland in a major swap between Russia and Ukraine.
The Ukrainian government says 230 prisoners of war returned home from Russia. Russia's defense ministry says that 248 of its servicemen have also been freed in a prisoner swap sponsored by the United Arab Emirates. It comes nearly 2 years into the ongoing war and the deadly fighting as missile strikes have ratcheted up on both sides in recent days, prompting officials in Kyiv to ask its Western allies for more air defense support. NATO today announcing support for billions of dollars worth of surface-to-air Patriot-guided missiles for member nations to send to Ukraine.
That's
Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
America is listening to Fox News.
It's game day at Jim's house, and the spread is impressive.
Mike's already done some damage with the hot wings, and now he's dropping back and going deep for another slice of pizza.
I sure hope he brought the Pepto.
Mike knows the Pepto-Bismol provides fast 5-symptom relief from unexpected stomach upsets. He's no rookie.
The way he's throwing back those nachos, he's the GOAT.
Be ready for game day with Pepto-Bismol.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed? Because no two people sleep the same. Only the Sleep Number smart bed lets you each choose your individual firmness and comfort, your Sleep Number setting. The Climate 360 smart bed is so smart it actively cools or warms up to 13 degrees on either side for your ideal sleep temperature. JD Power ranks Sleep Number #1 in customer satisfaction with mattresses purchased in store. The Queen Sleep Number C2 smart bed is now only $990 for a limited time. Prices higher in Alaska and Hawaii. For JD Power 2023 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. To find a store near you, visit sleepnumber.com.
Despite his legal trouble and efforts to remove him from state ballots, Donald Trump continues to pick up key GOP endorsements.
Former President Trump now has the backing of all top GOP House leaders, with the latest endorsement coming from Majority Whip Tom Emmer. Emmer saying on social media, quote, "It's time for Republicans to unite around our party's clear frontrunner." The former president bashed the number 3 House Republican during his bid for Speaker back in October, calling him a, quote, globalist rhino or Republican in name only, and that voting for him would be a, quote, tragic mistake. Majority Leader Steve Scalise officially endorsed former President Trump earlier this week. In Washington, Ryan Schmelz, Fox News.
Meantime, many of his primary rivals continue to try and narrow the gap with the Republican frontrunner in polling numbers. Nikki Haley saying 4 more years of Donald Trump is not what the country needs.
Rightly or wrongly, chaos follows Trump. It always does. It just follows him. And we are a country in disarray. We've got a world on fire, and we can't go through 4 more years of chaos. We won't survive it. You don't fix Democrat chaos with Republican chaos.
Speaking there to Fox News, investigations into New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez, the Democrat, is accused of accepting bribes, including from foreign governments, the latest from Qatar. Now, some Republicans see a potential opening to pick up a Senate seat in the deep blue state.
And what country has been not only hosting, but protecting the leadership of Hamas, a terrorist organization? Qatar. I mean, this is a very interesting web that needs to be unwoven. We need to continue to see this in the news.
Mendham, New Jersey Mayor Christine Serrano-Glasner speaking there to Fox News. A major winter storm could hit the East Coast this weekend with what would be the first significant snowfall in 2 years in the cities in the Northeast, including New York and Philadelphia. The exact track of the storm, though, is still unsettled, so millions of folks be keeping an eye on that in the coming days. I'm Tom Graham, and this is Fox News.
Hey, what's up? It's The Drive with Sam Piper, ESPN Radio 93.5. Derek Piper Lonte.
Let's go. ILL.
Life would be tougher without Terrence Shannon, they said. Boo Buie and Ty Berry could present some issues off the dribble, Derek Piper said.
Damask will never reach 30 again.
Jeff Goodman said, and Lon said, and a lot of people said. And a lot of people were proven wrong. What an offensive display. Really, I shouldn't just simplify it to offense.
Right.
A complete performance last night from the Illini in their Big Ten home opener. A complete drubbing of Northwestern, 96-66, a 30-point win. The third straight game that Illinois has put up 90-plus.
Wow.
And a runaway victory at the State Farm Center. It was a fun one to be a part of in the building for. I'm sure it looked just as beautiful on TV for those watching as well. Listen to Robbie Hummel break it all down. But, wow, what we watched last night was high-level basketball and has a lot of people excited about Friday's matchup against Purdue for good reason. And just who this team can be as they navigate life without Terrence Shannon, however long that's going to be. But for that night and projecting forward, there's enough here with Brad Underwood's arsenal that this can be a very good team, and he's figured this thing out. Where earlier in the season we wondered about offense. Is it you have to run more sets? How do you get more downhill action? Are you putting the players in the best situations to be successful? This booty ball, Lon, is beautiful.
It's beautiful. I like that. I'll take the pun. Listen, and that's, I mean, who had on their magic board Marcus Damask being unstoppable? Man. It's unbelievable what he's doing. Two things real quick. Even with Shannon, I was worried about Friday's game with Purdue. So if I still cast worry about that game, just know it would have been on either side of things.
Of course.
Though I would appreciate the idea of Shannon being there for his 18-22 that night, but certainly what Illinois has done is great. The other thing, Connor Onion, who does the play-by-play, he's a Saluki. He's an SIU kid, and Mike Reese got a hold of me a few years ago, and he said, we've got an up-and-comer here. And he has really jumped onto the scene both nationally and locally, and I thought that call last night, I know some have issues with Robbie Hummel, and that's always going to happen.
Do they?
I don't know. I've always heard people kind of criticize a little bit of Robbie Hummel. I think he's really good.
Is that because he didn't come here?
I don't know. Yeah, that's exactly why. I think he's Jay Billis too, right? He sounds just like him.
I think he's great.
He sounds like Billis. He's good like Billis. It's kind of like Kobe and MJ. Kobe stuck that tongue out. He did all the stuff MJ did, and it was like, that is definitely that. But I'm proud of Connor and what he's done. He was going to try to join us during the football season, and it didn't work out because he had to call a basketball game. But we're going to get him on one of these days and have Connor Onion on. It'll be pretty cool. Now, to this game, I want to start on the defense. Now, Andrew had a game last night, so I didn't get to see a lot of the first half. I was basically second half on, didn't have a chance today to go back and watch the first half. Heard a little bit of the end of it as I was driving home with Brian and Dion, I believe, right?
Yep.
And so as I was listening to this and they were talking about, Bowie and what he had, I thought, well, he's getting his. Ty Berry didn't really do much till late. I think he's such a key that we talked about yesterday with Northwestern, but I'll turn it back to you. What did Illinois defensively do so well against this Northwestern team? I mean, Chris Collins basically said we got our butt kicked, and he said they threw the first punch, the second punch, and the third punch, and we never did get one in. So what was Illinois able to do defensively early on against Northwestern that really shut them down?
Well, we're going to get to it when we talk to Luke Goody here at 4:05. I owe him a little bit of an apology. I didn't say, make no mistake, I wasn't like, hey, Luke Goody's going to get roasted on the defensive end here tonight. But I wondered about, with Illinois' bigger lineup, how would it look with those guards, Boo Buie and Ty Berry, both having the ability to dribble penetrate, have some more quickness than Illinois has with that bigger group. And it really didn't play out that way. Ty Rogers early on Boo Buie was able to corral him, not give him those driving lanes. But Ty picked up a cheap foul early in that game, and all of a sudden it wasn't just Ty drawing that primary matchup. They threw different guys at him. Marcus Damask saw a lot of Boo Buie in this matchup, and Damask was able to square him up, not get burned off the bounce, and then also Luke on Ty Berry and having possessions against those guards where Illinois didn't be put in situations where the quickness was hurting them. And then obviously the size at the other end led to Illinois being able to out-physical them, back them down, and play into those mismatches that led to a lot of scoring from the
Right.
Marcus Damask in the back down. And then when they sent the double team, which they had to, they passed out of it really well. They hit threes. They had cuts to the basket. So I give a lot of credit and also admit that I was wrong and that Illinois maybe was going to be in a problematic matchup as far as that goes. I also think that Coleman Hawkins deserves a ton of credit.
Amen.
And there's clips out there on Twitter. I retweeted one late last night. Lon, you're probably asleep when it was 1:30. I think I retweeted it.
Are you kidding me? I was getting ready to get up.
Yeah. Coleman got switched onto Boo Buie, and you could almost see Boo Buie's eyes light up.
Really?
Because in any other situation where Buie is on a 5-man,
he's thinking he's gonna dominate.
Yeah,
this.
I mean he's gonna play with his food.
Yep.
He's gonna have some fun with this, and he couldn't create an angle.
Wow.
He tried to drive him, it didn't work. Then he backed it out for he's 1-on-1 on one side of the floor at the 3-point line, kind of crossing up, seeing if he can size him up and get that 3 off. If not, gonna try to cross him over and go to the rim. Anything he tried, Coleman Hawkins was right there to put a hand up in his face. So
Unbelievable.
That asset that Illinois has, and there's a lot of people that come back to, why is it that Dane Danger doesn't play a whole lot? And he didn't play a whole lot last night, although I think the minutes that he did play, he did look pretty decent. It seemed like just the overarching point about Illinois last night was whoever they put on the floor gave a really nice contribution, was locked in, gave a lot of energy, and contributed something to that team. But Coleman, with his deflections, with his activity inside,
he's active.
He just anticipates so well,
Yep.
and it helps that Northwestern doesn't have offensively capable centers.
Right.
You don't have to worry a whole lot about Matthew Nicholson or the transfer from Liberty they bring in off the bench. That they're not very athletic. They're not going to shoot jump shots that you worry all that much about. So Coleman was really able to focus in on playing help defense, and he was great at it last night. So I give credit to him. I give credit to Illinois' perimeter, and they bothered Northwestern. And when Buie goes off for 35 last year, we knew how capable he was. This year he was not able to get into a rhythm, and like you said, it took Barry till the very end in garbage time to even pad that stat line.
It's amazing to me, too, now if I go offense, and that was a great rundown and update. Not update, but a good, whatever I'm trying to say, kind of a synopsis of what that defense looked like, because I'm with you. I think Coleman Hawkins, I've said this all year, I think we underappreciate him defensively to where he does a lot more than we think. And while he's not a true rim protector, there are a lot of times where you'll see him go up two hands and it alters a shot, I think. And like you said, being able to get out, that was all the times that I was confused why Kofi wasn't regarded more as a player. And obviously he got the stats when it came to rebounds and scoring. But it's when you watch what Kofi tried to do defensively compared to even what Coleman can do in terms of guarding even Boo Buie. I mean, that's ridiculous to even think that. I wouldn't want to go to that well that often, but the idea that he's able to kind of just distract Buie enough on that 1 or 2 times down, that's huge for your team. But offensively, Marcus Damask, I've watched this kid for 4 years at SIU. There is no doubt that I knew that he had the ability to put up points. I just did not realize that he would be able to come in to a Big Ten kind of schedule. Not that Southern doesn't play good teams. You understand. I mean, I know
Valley's
you
a good
do.
league.
Yeah, Valley's a great league, and they play some solid non-conference teams as well. But to come in and night out, and I mean, even the other night, like you said yesterday, he had 10 assists. So it's like every night Damask is doing something that helps you win. And that's such a big thing, right, is whatever you need him to do. And I think Damask is a guy that, like last night when I was watching him, he's feeling it. And I love that. Like, I don't know, I'm sure there were times at SIU where he was feeling it, but it was more from the outside and doing stuff like that. But for him to do what he's doing now, I'm sure what it is he's just happy not to be double teamed every time down the court, because that's what was happening last season at SIU. He'd be double teamed, he'd be drawing the best defender nonstop, and they would get that guy out and bring in the next best defender who was fresh, and Damask was just constantly fighting an uphill battle. This year, he's taken it to a lot of guys that maybe aren't defender number one until about 10 points. And then they're like, we got to switch because Damask is killing us. But to be able to have that old school, isn't it funny how like that old school game just confuses everybody, right? Because everybody now is just used to the 3-point shots and playing above the rim. But that's how we used to do it back in the 80s and such. That old school game where you actually used the elbow or the baseline from 8 to 10 feet and you made little pump fakes and head fakes. I'm still, like, the first time Andrew Tate does a head fake or a pump fake on a basketball court, I'll be like, oh, my gosh, it happened finally. It's just I don't see it as much now with today's basketball, but Marcus Domask is just – he's a wizard when it comes to that stuff. And when he gets on a roll and is feeling it, and we asked Luke Goody that, I think, last week or the week before, I apologize, and he's like, oh, we know when he is, man. We get him the ball as much as we can. It's just fun to watch him dominate in a unique way that you don't really see much anymore.
Yeah, old school is definitely a great way to put it. The new age narrative has been in recent years the mid-range shot is one of the worst shots in basketball.
Don't take it.
Come on now. If you're great at it, then throw that narrative out the window and don't look back in the rearview mirror. Because Ayo Dosunmu, who was a all-time great at Illinois, was so good getting that elbow and pulling up and how effective it was. And with Marcus, it's the back down ability. And I've said it a number of times, and I'm going to wear it out throughout the rest of the season. He looks like a guy that's playing in his driveway. Maybe because you don't have your driveway maybe not long enough to
sloped.
You got that angle as well. But it's kind of that, the driveway basketball.
Great point.
You can't speed him up. He's shooting turnaround jumpers, out there in his front yard, and he's got that going for him. He had the pull up jumper last night. He can spin off of you.
Yes.
He can use pivots and just patience against you if you try to get into him and be physical with him. Which
he's strong.
Yeah, no, he's really strong.
He's strong. I mean, that pass that he had to Guerrier cutting down in the second half, where Guerrier cut to the lane and dunked. It was bad defense on Northwestern side and the weak side, but two guys ran at Domask, and he was like a fullback blocking for the quarterback. He took the hit and then made the pass to Guerrier. And I thought at the time when they showed the replay from down low, I'm like, man, Domask can take a hit and keep going. I mean, he's a strong kid.
He really is, yeah.
Old man strength, you said yesterday.
For sure. The article I wrote about the booty ball that Illinois is playing with, and Marcus has been a huge part of that, and it's really evolved Illinois' offense. And we talked about it yesterday, I think. December 1st and on, going into last night, according to Bart Torvik, Illinois was fourth in the country in offensive efficiency. Now the updated stat, with 2 games without Terrence Shannon, they're the number 1 offense in the country.
Wow.
According to those metrics since December 1st. And a big part is leaning more and more into Marcus in the mid-post, backing guys down, getting matchups. And I had a picture, you can look at it on the front page of Illini Inquirer, of him backing down Boo Buie, and you should see Marcus's thighs.
Oh.
Like, that dude
should be a pitcher.
Yeah. He's put some work in on the squat rack more than Lana and I in the last decade. So,
ever in my life.
Maybe ever. Yeah, okay. Ever. But
what's the squat?
It's really impressive. And I think that some guys panic when you send a double team at you, and they maybe don't see the floor that well. It plays to his IQ, his passing ability, and also I give a lot of credit. Quincy Guerrier timed up those cuts from the wing down the lane at just the right time. As soon as that double came, Domask was able to find him.
Good hands on the one.
Great hands. Yep. Yeah, the ability to corral that and put it in, and almost falling away, able to make that touch shot. So last night everything was working for Illinois. You're up 27, and Brad's starting to get on the team when, like, all right, you guys think this game is over? And he's like chirping in Quincy's ear, and it's a late shot clock, and Quincy dribbles behind his back, hits a fadeaway 3. And that just shows it's Illinois' night. But I do give Brad a lot of credit, kind of taking that page, not that they've invented it or they were the first people to do it, but Penn State, Jalen Pickett.
Yep.
Playing matchups, backing guys down, making defenses determine, are we going to send that double team or sit and play in a one-on-one matchup that they got more size than we do, and this is exactly where they like to operate. So we've seen it from Jay Wright in the past with his guards. I've written about that here in recent weeks. And last night, Jeremy and I found ourselves talking about Bo Ryan's Wisconsin teams too. Like, Bo Ryan would post some guys that were non-centers, post his guards, post his wings. And this has just been – it's been beautiful basketball. And Domask, what he's doing right now, his assertiveness. Yeah, and he feels like he's coming out of his – I don't know if it's coming out of his shell is the right way to say it, but he just is showing a different level of confidence that I don't know if if a lot of people forecasting it maybe ever thought we would see out of him this year.
Great point. Listen, Damas grew up watching Bo Ryan's teams there in Wisconsin,
Good
right?
point, yep.
He was Wisconsin Player of the Year, and somehow SIU got him. Is there a better stat line than what he threw up last night? I mean, 35 minutes, 11 of 15 from the court, 1 of 1 from 3, 9 of 10 from the three-point line. He had 5 rebounds, 6 assists to lead the team. He had a block. He did have 3 turnovers. So we'll give him some grief about that, right? 3 turnovers in 35 minutes, but when you have a 6-3 and a +3 and assist to turnover ratio and get 32 points, I mean, Illinois in general. Here's the other thing, and by the way, Austin, he did call himself out here on the U of I Atlantic Link text line. Austin from Arthur yesterday said, "Do you think Damas will ever score 20 again?" So his response today is all Damas needed was somebody to asking if he'll score 20 again. So, yeah, Austin, keep firing those in. Keep firing your predictions in. We like them if they're going to continue to work out well for Illinois. But last year, so many times, Derek, we talked about how this offense didn't flow. And we talked about poor shooting. Those were 2 themes that we beat the drum on all season and got tired of talking about, but unfortunately it was true on both ends. This year we went in worrying about both. I think it's fair. Brad Underwood told us before the season, this is a good shooting team. I didn't quite believe him. And it's not that I don't believe Brad with most things he says, but when he tells me, FDU is elite, sometimes I'm like, hold on a second, Brad, you're using that too much. But honestly, I didn't understand quite what. I mean, I knew what you were adding. I knew what Damas could do. I knew what Luke Goody would do with more playing time. He didn't hardly play last year because of the injury, so that certainly is going to hurt you. I didn't realize Justin Harmon could shoot like he has, especially the last 2 games, is ridiculous.
Yep.
And Quincy Guerrier has found his stroke. There for a while, it must have been the wrist. And I've said 100 times, whenever an athlete isn't playing as well as you think, or sometimes not living up to what we think, a lot of times it's a little nick or a knack or an injury, and I don't think we put enough into that. And I think for Guerrier, I would assume he's feeling about 100% now with this injury, and he looks like it the way he's shooting at Missouri. Last night he was 6 of 9 from the floor, 10 rebounds for you. But this team, and this isn't the first time because you can go back to that Florida Atlantic game, but this team last night, 63% from the floor, 56% from the three-point line, and then 80% from the free throw line. Now, there's going to be a clunker. There will be a clunker. But I'm telling you, more than not, you're getting this kind of production and these kind of stats, whereas last year we would have I would have bet house money that you'd never get 63% shooting from the court from this Illinois team last year. But this season, they are knocking shots down. And, Derek, I think a lot of it is that guys are putting other guys in the right position. It's that hockey pass, right? Guys are putting guys in position to make shots, whereas last year I didn't sense that they were doing that much. And I think it's become obvious. And like you said, 93 games in a row, including over 100 against Florida or FDA, Florida. What is it?
FAU. Or the FDU, yeah,
FDU.
They also exploded against FAU earlier in
That's
December.
right, yeah. And then Missouri as well. I mean, this team, wow.
Yeah, I was digging through. I didn't expect to spend so much time looking through the Illinois record book last night, trying to find the last time that they had scored 30-plus points. I thought, all right, surely 2005 would have done it. Maybe that Kofi Io team and 2021 accomplished that. I had to go all the way back to 93, 94 to find 3 straight games of 90-plus.
What a random season for that to happen.
That's Kejuan Garris, Deion Thomas.
Oh, okay.
Richard Keene.
Yeah, Richard Keene, good sharpshooter.
And it was early non-conference against some cupcake opponents. If you wanted to find a stretch like that had a high major opponent or 2 in it, you got to go back to the famed Flying Illini 88-89. They did it 5 straight games, included doing it against Florida, who was ranked in the top 20, and Ole Miss as well. And then a week or so later, they hung 100-plus on LSU.
I remember that game.
A game that a lot of people remember. So, I think that I've talked a lot about the sample size from December 1st and on. There's 7 games baked into that. Illinois, over that stretch, has shot 37% from 3.
Wow.
That's really, really – I mean, last year you're under 30%
Yeah.
as a team. Your free throw shooting is much improved. Like Ty Rodgers right now, I'm not watch out. I don't want to jinx anything. I'm not worried about him going to the free throw line all of a sudden. And Damasco's 9 of 10 last night. And, yeah, I think just the chemistry that this team has is very evident in the way that they share the ball, the way that they just have pieces that fit together too. Like the fact of like Marcus's ability to post fits really well with Coleman's ability to stretch the floor, and Coleman, like Quincy's ability to rebound and be physical with Coleman's skill fits really well together.
Great points.
And just like the pieces fit. And there's also just a very and it's easy when you're winning.
Yeah.
But there's a vibe of a very selfless basketball. I think Justin Harmon is the perfect example of that. I never got any indication that this guy was unhappy through the stretches of the first month plus of the season where he goes from scoring 21 a game in the NIT and being the primary option for Utah Valley, then coming into Illinois and he might take 3 shots in a game. And I never saw, like, man, he looks really unhappy. He's got to be thinking, did I make the right choice? I could have went somewhere and been more of a primary prominent option. He's like, I want to play defense. I want to make effort plays. When the offense is there, I'll take it. Now they need him to score, and he's doing it obviously at a pretty high level here of late. So I don't expect this to continue. Like they're not going to they're not going to maybe be I don't think they'll be the most efficient offense in the country from here on out, but it is certainly very impressive. I give credit to Brad for finding the right formula, both in terms of scheme and then also just finding pieces that work together.
Now, I could have looked it up on Bart
Torvik, Ken Pom.
I could have looked all that up, but see, I read Derek Piper and found out that Northwestern was 52% in defensive efficiency coming into the game last night, which is pretty good, right?
And they were one of the best defenses in the Big Ten last year.
And so to do that against that kind of a team, now it ratchets up, right? Against Purdue, obviously number 1 ranked team in the country, you're going to have this kind of a performance against them. The other thing, it doesn't seem like Illinois has played many road games. I think it's because you haven't been gone much.
Yeah, right.
And it's like, I guess they haven't played many road games because Piper's been here for this entire time. But obviously this true road test at Purdue is not going to be easy. It never is. It doesn't matter what team you have for Illinois. Going to Mackey is just not going to be fun. But if nothing else, these
it's a top 10 matchup.
Big time.
Like top 10 nationally.
That's crazy. Is that a Big Ten Network game?
I'll have to look.
Okay.
Might be FS1.
Ah, okay. Yeah, it's not Peacock, please.
I was going to throw the Peacock joke in there.
Man. Yeah. I'd be listening to that game. But no, I mean for Illinois with the Shannon News to do what they've done the last 2 games, I'm not saying that I'm sitting here saying, Illinois is going to beat Purdue, because honestly I wouldn't pick Illinois to beat Purdue if nothing else would have happened. I'm being dead serious going into Mackey. I mean, that's the number 1 ranked team in the country. They're really good. Their guards are better. Edey is unbelievable. We can get into that as we go along this week. But these games, the last 2 games especially, and especially last night, just give you the idea that Illinois is going to take their best shot at Purdue and have a legitimate shot at doing that, and pulling off an upset. I mean, the team that they just beat by 30 last night took care of Purdue the first time.
That's right.
Now, a couple of things. Boo had to go crazy. Barry went crazy in that one as well, I think. But still, it happened. So we'll see. And the physicality of Illinois, I think, can match Purdue. And a lot of times that's where Purdue gets you. They're the ones constantly at Mackey that punch you in the mouth first.
Yep.
Sometimes literally, probably. And
during the Chris Kramer days.
Exactly.
Sure, yeah.
Exactly. So a lot of times when you go into West Lafayette, you are punched in the face immediately. Purdue's meeting you at half court, and you better bring the big boy game if you're going to play with them. Illinois I'm not worried about that with this team. They're going to bring the physicalness into this game against Purdue. So now it's just a matter of, does Illinois make the kind of shots that they've continued to make, and can they somewhat control Zach Edey on that end? But we'll talk a lot more about that as we go along. By the way, Richard Keene, you mentioned him. I know you know who that is,
yes.
But, he shunned Duke. He was a McDonald's All-American.
Right?
Oh, yeah. McDonald's All-American from Collinsville. One heck of a shooter and the best hair that has ever an Illini player has ever produced in terms of just the neatness of a hair. Like, he could be a James Bond guy.
Nice.
Keene was he was a hell of a player, hell of a shooter for that team in the early 90s. That was fun.
Appreciate the history lesson.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm familiar with the name. But
you just have to Google image Richard Keene. You'll be like, oh, yeah.
I'll have to look that up for sure.
He was pretty boy. T.J. Wheeler was always like, oh, yeah, Keene. Keene was the last guy out of the locker room. He was the last, he was always making sure the hair was perfectly spiked. Oh, yeah. That's Richard.
Yeah, I cannot wait for this game on Friday. And on paper, like the way Illinois is playing right now, I know if you're going to look at stat for stat, the fact that Edey's in the mix for Purdue, obviously the National Player of the Year frontrunner, once again, versus the fact that Illinois doesn't have Terrence Shannon. But the way that Illinois is playing right now versus the way that Purdue's playing, it's more of a toss-up matchup between the teams. Of course, you bake in the Mackey effect.
Yes.
And that's going to be really, really tough. Oh, by the way, Purdue probably has the most impressive resume in the country right now. They've beaten Arizona, Tennessee, Marquette, Alabama. It's just ridiculous what Gonzaga. So, and then last night they dominate a game in College Park. I know it's a Maryland team that I keep kind of waiting for.
I know.
Hey, Maryland has life again, and
I
maybe
agree.
they'll make their way to a tournament. They had like 19 points at halftime.
It was
and
bad.
They lose.
Julian Reese
67
didn't even
to 53.
score.
Did he not?
No, he didn't score.
So, but it's going to be a game with fascinating matchups because Edey is always one that there's one. He's a one of one. There's one of him in the country.
Yep.
You either have him or you don't, and Illinois obviously doesn't. How do you handle that matchup inside? But at the same time, with Coleman shooting it how he is right now, that's a challenge for Zach Edey to get out and guard that. Purdue has great guards. Braden Smith is playing outstanding, but he's a smaller type of guy. If Ty Rodgers or Marcus Damascus backing him down, that's an issue for Purdue. So it's a very fun conversation. I think kind of as we segue this into break, I kind of want to get the temperature on, look, Illinois is going to be hopeful and continues to be hopeful that they will have Terrence Shannon back at some point before the season is over. Of course, the legal process is going to have to play out, and we can't really speculate too much on when and if that is going to happen. But I wouldn't blame anybody right now if you're sitting there and saying, hey, if Illinois gets Terrence back, this could be a Final Four team with what they're seeing here recently. But I frame it from the aspect of what if he doesn't come back? I think what you've seen in the last two games, albeit only a 2-game sample size, probably make you a lot more encouraged about what this team could accomplish if you are life without Terrence the rest of the year. Can you still finish second in the Big Ten if you never see Terrence Shannon again the rest of the season? Can you still go to the Sweet 16 if Terrence Shannon doesn't come back? I think you can actually, with a straight face, maybe say yes to those questions.
I would say yes to all of those.
It's still early in that evaluation. Wisconsin looks pretty darn good. Now, they beat Iowa last night. The Hawkeyes are starting to really struggle, but I want to have that conversation when we come back. I want to also get your thoughts on the U of I Atlanta Lake text line. Has your evaluation and how much so has it changed with what we've seen here recently if there is no Terrence Shannon Jr. in the mix going forward? If you want to weigh in, you can. 217-359-2255 on the U of I Atlanta Link text line. Luke Goody will join us.
Let's
405. Can't wait for that. We'll also play some Brad Underwood from last night as well. But a lot of Big Ten hoops talk. Look forward to do so. Stick with us. We'll continue that next. This is The Drive.
Since Busey Bank first opened our doors in 1868, we have built upon a tradition of close relationships and broad financial capabilities. Our experienced team provides the highest level of personalized service to ensure we accomplish your goals, simplifying your wealth management and business lending needs and ensuring a legacy for generations. Building business, growing wealth since 1868. Proud to be the official bank of the Fighting Illini. Member FDIC.
By now, you've all heard the expression, when you turn the key and the car won't run, call 367-9481 for PDR Automotive. They are what's best for your truck or car. They are PDR. But who are they? They, the PDR staff, understand that a name is only as good as the people that represent it. The PDR staff has more than 335 years of combined automotive experience, several employees now on staff for more than 25 years. PDR, more than just a name. Family owned and operated, now celebrating over 50 years in business.
Thank you for choosing 2 Men in a Truck. How may I help you?
Hi, I have a strange question. What happens if it snows on moving day? I don't want my furniture to get wet and destroyed.
Well, that's not strange at all. We have the same concerns for your furniture. With over 9 million moves completed, our team is experienced to handle any weather conditions. Because we pad and stretch wrap your furniture before we put it on the truck, we'll make sure your belongings are safe and dry no matter what the forecast says.
Not sure how your move is going to work? Go to 2minuteatruck.com for your free estimate.
Illini fans, taste what's special about Jets Pizza by ordering any of their specialty pizzas for $5 off. That's right, save $5 on all specialty pizzas like the barbecue chicken pizza, chicken grilled to perfection, premium mozzarella cheese, bacon, red onion, and BBQ sauce. All piled onto Jets' amazing crust made from dough they make fresh every day. There's also their super special all-meaty chicken bacon ranch and more, all $5 off. Make your day special and order a Jets specialty pizza for $5 off.
When you're buying a battery, it's important to look beyond just the price and make sure you're buying a quality battery. So when you're buying one from the big box store, make sure you ask the question, what's the date on this battery? Is it dependable? Sometimes the big box stores have batteries that have been sitting on the shelf for years. Or you can just come to Interstate Batteries, outrageously dependable, and buy your battery from the people who only do batteries. Interstate Batteries at 2504 North Madison, Champaign, way out there, but totally worth the drive. How much is dependable worth to you? Interstate Batteries open 6 days a week.
We all have a mission in life, something that drives us to explore, to grow, to love. And when we discover it, we're made whole. At OSF Healthcare, we want you to be the best you possible. We're here for you on your schedule to make your life just a little bit easier. Whatever your mission is, we're here to support it. Your life, our mission. Learn more at osfhealthcare.org/mission.
Welcome to Dick Van Dyke Appliance World.
Hi, I'm looking for a refrigerator.
When you buy from us, you get the whole store.
Oh, yeah, well, I just need a refrigerator. Don't need the whole store.
But you get it, the whole store.
My kitchen is only about this big.
You get me.
Hello.
All those delivery, installation, and service technicians in back.
Wow, all those people?
The Dick Van Dyke 5-10-year protection plan, which means in the unlikely event something goes wrong in the first 5 years, your repair cost is nothing.
Nothing?
10 years parts coverage on the major components.
Looks like I'm getting more than a refrigerator today. How much does this whole store cost?
Nothing. Come on. For real. We guarantee to beat any competitor's deal, all that other stuff we talked about, like our service tax.
And your 5-10-year protection plan?
All included.
I'm Dennis Freakin, chairman of Dick Van Dyke Appliance World. And when we say you get the whole store, we mean the whole store. Wow!
Dick Van Dyke Appliance World. When you buy from us, you get the whole store.
BMW, Buick, GMC, Honda, and Subaru. Welcome to Sarah Champagne. We can handle all your car repairs on site, including paintless dent repair, bumpers, windshields, everything in between. We have an amazing selection of new or pre-owned vehicles to choose from. Shop from home and buy online or reserve your vehicle before it hits our website or dealership. Sarah Champagne is home of the Sarah One Price Promise, delivering an honest and transparent buying experience. Hurry in or shop online at sarahchampagne.com.
Back on the Drive with Sam Piper, ESPN Radio 93.5. Having fun talking hoops, but got to mention some baseball.
Oh.
It's been a while since we talked little Cardinals. There's been a reason for that because I haven't been too pleased with our Redbirds of late.
No.
And really the baseball news has been dominated by the Los Angeles Dodgers. And, It stinks. It stinks.
It does kind of stink knowing that it just appears that they will be so much better.
They're getting whatever they want, man.
And the Cardinals start the season in L.A.
That's right.
4. Oh boy.
They're going to see.
I'd rather just do that and get done with it.
So they'll see Yamamoto, and then Shohei at the plate won't be pitching this year, but still. Oh boy. Lance Lynn against Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman. What could go wrong?
What could go wrong?
Anyways.
The good news is the last time he started a game was in L.A., right? Or did he get traded somewhere?
Well, it was with L.A. It was in Arizona.
Oh, it was in Arizona.
Unfortunately, if you forgot, anyone out there, I regret to inform you, the last time Lance Lynn started a game, he got 4 home runs in 1 inning and got pulled in the playoffs.
Well, you know that stuff happens.
Yeah, it happens to a lot of people.
Well, Derek, I can confidently speak on this St. Louis Cardinals Caravan.
I'm excited about this.
I am too. I've been here for every one of them, and it was one of the selling points that Stevie sold to me when I decided to go ahead and jump on and become a part of SJ Broadcasting 14 years ago, was the idea that we would be carrying Cardinals baseball. I didn't believe him at the time. He made it happen. We are still not only covering and carrying Cardinals baseball, but we also carry the Chicago Cubs. So I think that's pretty cool that we have both of the major teams in this area covered when it comes to listening on the radio to those games. And I know there are still a lot of people that enjoy listening to games on the radio. I will never not enjoy windows down on a nice day and hearing Cardinals baseball and even Cubs baseball if the Cardinals aren't on. It is one thing to do. And then what came of the Cardinals Caravan, which many people don't understand, is thanks to the Cardinal Caravan, it kind of spawned off into Mike Claiborne, who joins us all the time and is one of our favorite guests ever. Kevin Wheeler, that helped because I got to know Kevin through Claibs, and on and on and on, right, with Tom Ackerman and such. So the idea that the Caravan has come to Champaign every year, and Stevie just does, I mean, he's in his element when it comes to the Caravan. That is Stevie J to a T. He loves people. He loves sports. He loves, baseball in general. So he's always talking, and he's the one asking the questions. He always asks me every year, he's like, hey, Bub, you want to do it this year? I'm like, nope. That is your spot, and you are the best at it. So he's really good at getting people that don't feel like talking to talk and to open up, and he's fun with the players. So this year, I feel like the last couple of years have been a little bit of a in terms of who we had coming to the Caravan.
It was a couple of years ago that Nolan Gorman was here.
Yeah, that's right.
With Matthew Liberatore.
That's right. Mason Wynn was here last year.
Nice.
So that was cool, but a lot of Cardinals fans maybe didn't know a lot about him. This year, it is hard to argue. I mean, we may have the best Caravan of anybody. And normally, if you study this, the closer to St. Louis is the one you want to attend because that's where most of the big wigs, like Albert Pujols, probably never left more than a 60-mile radius from St. Louis to go to a Caravan. But coming to Champaign on Friday, January 12th, so not this Friday, but next at noon, we will have the likes of Jordan Walker. I could probably stop there.
That's a big name.
That's a huge name. Like, he's going to one Caravan, and it's coming here to Champaign.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, of course,
awesome.
It's Champaign, Peoria, Bloomington. Like,
Still,
that Caravan number 4 is grouped into one. So, anyway, you've got Jordan Walker, Andre Palante, who's going to have to be a big part of that, the bullpen, Packy Naughton, my guy, who's going to be a lefty in that bullpen, and then Victor Scott II, who was, I think, one of their minor league players of the year. He's an exceptional center fielder, and I think he's a guy that they really, really want to get up to St. Louis fast. But he'll be here as well as Chip Caray. So we get Chip Caray, we get Benji Molina again, who is so fun, and then Brad Thompson, who I think is excellent to talk baseball with. So that's going to be fun, man.
That's great. That's a loaded field.
That is at the iHotel at noon on Friday, January 12th. I'm giving every one of you right now permission to take your kids out of school. Sorry to all the administrators out there with schools. Lante's calling the shot here.
We need to come up. Let's make Kyle do some work on break and write up a permission slip.
Ooh.
And then put it on our Twitter page. And then you print that off. Says Lante says your kids can have the afternoon off today.
At least 2 hours.
Yeah.
Instead of lunch, let them go to the iHotel at noon, stay till about 1:30, get their autographs, hear the Cardinals, and then take off back to school. You're not learning anything more than what you would learn that day. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Put that on the permission slip. Put that on there for sure. I want that on there.
Biology, who needs that? But no, we're excited, though. Jordan Walker will be here. I told you if you're able to make it, and I know you're a busy guy, I'm giving you the Jordan Walker interview. I think that would be awesome, man, to talk to him. I want to talk to Brad Thompson and Chip Carey too. I mean, those guys will deliver some great answers. And we need to get back to Illinois, but there's a lot of question marks about this Cardinals team. And Cubs, they haven't done anything yet. Now, obviously, still got some time, and we still assume that Cody Bellinger, or at least we think, would be coming back to Chicago. But I mean, there's some answers for both of our teams that we respectively talk about.
Absolutely.
Cardinals have to answer for losing 90 games. What have you done that is going to prove to me that maybe you can get back in the race in the Central, but was that really the goal? And the Cubbies, I mean, I felt like you made a nice step. You kind of faded, but I felt like they're on the cusp of really making a really nice next step, but they haven't done much, if anything. So I'm kind of disappointed a little bit with Bo still, but we'll be able to talk to him. And again, it'll be next Friday, January 12th, noon, iHotel. It's free. Just come out and enjoy it. They used to have beer. I don't know if they do that anymore. But, it's fun. And if you're wondering if the Cubs do this, they don't. They do up north, but they don't come down as far as Champaign. So another reason to switch allegiance.
Do you want to hit up the gas station nearby and then we go in as beer vendors?
You know what? That's not a bad idea. Pick up some of those tall boys.
Yeah.
That's not a bad idea. That's exactly what we'll do.
Beer here, $12.50. $12.50.
Yeah, I mean, people that come to that are going to expect the uptick, right? They understand. They've been to Wrigley and Busch. They know how much beer is. So, yeah, that's a great idea.
We should do it.
And if we can buy a bunch, maybe they'll give us a discount. And then we uptick that price. I think you and I are going to make some cash.
We got to figure it out.
January 12th. You got a new kid on the way. You got to
I know. I got to do some talking to the belly tonight. Be like, please do not show up. Right. January 12th. I was pleading to Cade, like, the NCAA tournament, please, although Illinois was not there long enough to really worry about it, but do not show up now. Just give me a little bit longer, and I'll have to ask my daughter to not make an appearance on that day because I want to talk to Jordan Walker. And I'm picturing in my mind you and Packy Naughton doing your Peaky Blinders impressions. Yes. Like, is this Irish or you think this is good? Like, you try it. Like, your last name's Naughton.
He just punches me. I'm like, oh, geez, I didn't know. I think we ought to make Kyle go do an interview as a Cubs fan.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
I think we should sick him on who?
Benji Molina?
Yeah, Benji or Andre Palante. Let's do that. Here's Kyle with Andre Palante. I would love that. Yeah, Heath, good call.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Heath weighs in on the U of I Land Link text line. Victor Scott stole, get this, 94 bases last year.
Vince Coleman. Wow. Coming back around. Yeah, he's really good defensively. He hit for average, and they love him. They really think that this is an outfielder of the future. Now, I've been hearing this for 15 years, it seems like.
Colby Rasmus.
Randall Grichuk, Stephen Piscotty, Tyler O'Neill.
Carlson.
Dylan Carlson. Harrison Bader. It's just a long line of average to best. All right, we got to start talking Illinois again. My fault.
Let's do so.
I am excited, though, about that caravan. So if you can make it January 12th. I know we were a little bit disappointed in the crowd last year. But maybe they were foreshadowing what was going to happen with the Cardinals. So I always say every year when the weather starts to turn, which anymore is in April, I always look for the first cardinal bird I see. And it's a huge moment because if it flies up, that means it's going to be a good season. And if it flies down or even, that means we're in for a long season. My brother even watched that up in Chicago.
Right?
He'd text me. He's like, hey, I saw a cardinal bird today. I got some bad news. He's like, I think he dumped his load and took off towards the ground. I was like, oh, crap. So, yeah, but hopefully we'll get what is Jeff asking for the complete list one more time?
Yep.
Okay, one more time. Jordan Walker, Andre Palante, Packy Naughton, and Victor Scott II, and then you'll have Benji Molina, Brad Thompson, and Chip Carey in attendance. So that's a star-studded.
I'd be excited to meet Chip Carey. I think he's really, really good.
Oh, I do too. The Careys in general, Skip, Chip, Harry,
Yep.
the whole crew.
Yep.
They've meant a lot to baseball. That's for sure. So yeah, that's going to be fun. So we'll see everybody next Friday at noon. Hopefully, Pipes will be able to be there early and talk
Fingers
to Mr.
crossed.
Walker.
Fingers crossed. I'd be okay. You can call me Sal. Says he's guessing January 22nd as the birthday for my daughter. That would work out. That would work out just fine. Before we dive back into Big Ten Hoops talk, let's catch one more break.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll return and get into that. I pitch it out to the text line once again. If there is a world, which of course there could be, where Terrence Shannon does not return for the Illini, where do you think they will slot in the Big Ten? And what is their current ceiling as far as the NCAA tournament goes? We'll discuss that next. I want to hear from you. 217-359-2255. This is The Drive.
Oh, this cold.
Honey?
Honey?
Honey, you need DayQuil Severe Honey.
DayQuil Severe Honey gives you powerful cold and flu symptom relief with a honeylicious taste, because life doesn't stop for a cold.
Okay, I'm ready to go.
No, I'm getting a cold.
Honey.
Try DayQuil Severe Honey for powerful cold and flu relief. DayQuil Severe with honey flavor. The daytime coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever, honeylicious, power through your day medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
In an ever-changing real estate market, it is so important to work with experienced agents like Russ and Nick Taylor with the Taylor teams at Taylor Realty Associates. They have the knowledge and expertise to get your home sold for the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time. Trust the experience and success of Russ and Nick Taylor with the Taylor team at Taylor Realty Associates. Give them a call today at 217-355-0700 or visit them online at taylorboys.com. That's taylorboys.com.
Hi, this is Amanda Jean, the founder and planner of Inspire Your Wedding and Events. Join us for premier, interactive, inspirational, and immersive wedding showcase, bringing together wedding vendors and couples from all over Central Illinois. Curated design looks for your ceremony and reception table decor, savory and sweet bites, alongside complimentary signature cocktails and champagne as you walk the space, enjoying, connecting, learning, and booking wedding vendors for your magical day. For more information about attendee tickets, go to inspireyour.com.
As we approach the end of the year, you might want to think about some great tax-deductible donations, like with the Urbana Parks Foundation, or making a donation to the Youth Scholarship Fund to help cover the costs of kids attending summer camps. Your donation can help more kids attend summer camps next year. Mail your check to 303 West University Avenue in Urbana. Call Kelsey for details at 217-367-1536 or visit urbanaparksfoundation.org.
Short-term market fluctuations can be unnerving for everyone. A proven way to tune out the noise and focus on long-term investment goals is to adhere to a well-constructed investment plan. This is Starla Carr with Provident Financial Group. If you don't have a plan in place, we can help create one designed specifically for you. Call us today for a complimentary consultation at 217-366-3456 or find us online at providentfinancialgroupllc.com.
Securities and advisory services offered through Commonwealth Financial Network, member FINRA, SIPC, a registered investment advisor.
Hey, where are you headed?
To Kelsey Furniture in Tuscola.
What do they have there?
What don't they have there? Living room furniture, benches, chests, love seats, sectionals, tables, bedroom sets, hutches, nightstands, end tables, cabinets, mirrors, stools, clocks, lamps, pillows, rugs, desks, media consoles, patio furniture, Tempur-Pedic mattresses, and more.
So, everything.
Yeah, probably could have just said that.
Kelsey Furniture, quality for less.
I don't know the words.
Finishing up hour one here on The Drive with Sam Piper.
Was that even that song that I'm singing?
I don't know.
I don't either. I hear my own. Lon's always heard his own music in his head.
If you have not seen, which just came across my Twitter account,
awesome.
these Funkos, these little, if you're not familiar with Funkos, like little action figures that the Illinois NIL store has just started promoting. They have not made them yet, are not for sale, but They're spot on, man. We got to ask Luke Goody about his.
I love it.
Quincy Guerrier, Dane Danger. Check that out on Twitter. These are like really, really cool. And I might have to put a couple in Cade's room.
Yeah. Oh, that's a no-brainer for you.
Right?
I mean, my kids are going to want them.
No doubt.
And one's an adult, I think, and the other one's soon to be. Oh, those are awesome,
They're
man.
sweet.
They nail it. Yeah, we'll have to ask.
Apparently,
Luke.
they said that they're generated by AI, which is that freaky? Like they just put their pictures in there and they made those?
Is it bad? Like, I don't want to go off on something.
Oh, boy, here we go.
Is it bad that I just don't understand the whole AI thing?
I don't necessarily
and
do either.
All of a sudden, they're going to be ruling the world. I'm going to be ruling, like the world will be ruled by somebody or something that I don't know anything about.
Have you seen the ones where they have AI generate Brian Ferentz's voice?
No.
So then they could make him say, not obviously him, but they could voice over his press conference with whatever they wanted him to say, and it looks like spot on.
Goodness, no. I'm sorry, the technology scares the hell out of me. Like that kind of technology. But I know it's here to stay, right?
It is.
That's funny. It's here to stay. Yes, Lon, it's here to stay.
Yeah. But I would say this would be a good accomplishment. However, the NIL store came up with these are awesome. These are very cool. Go check them out on their Twitter page. I pitched the idea, not to the Funkos and the action figures, but how far can Illinois go if there is no Terrence Shannon in the mix the rest of the way? Big Def had a good text.
He did.
On the U of I Line Link text line, said, looks like a Sweet 16 team to me, but got to get DGL and Hansberry to be bodies in there. Can't handle any more attrition due to injury. Can't have these starters limping off the court with nothing left on March 16th after grinding 38 minutes a game through the Big Ten schedule that beats the hell out of all the conference players. It's a good point.
It is.
In terms of the depth. I've also wondered, and Brad got asked about this last night. We'll play some Brad before we get out of here, but not diving into the bench as much. Now, there's been some limitations. Obviously, Terrence out, Sincere redshirting, Nico being out still, although he's back without a boot and is starting to practice a little bit again. But they've been up 30, and the starters are still out there.
That's
saw it against
weird to me,
Missouri,
too.
saw it against last night, Northwestern, like Amani not playing very many minutes, Dane not getting really back in at the end of the game. Dre Gibbs-Lawhorn hit a 3. I don't know how many minutes he ultimately
6.
logged. Was it 6?
Yeah, I mean, you had Hansberry 3, Danger 4, and Gibbs-Lawhorn 6. That's it.
You know what's interesting, and maybe it's a flaw in the system, but the net rankings take into account how badly you beat a team. Like, if you blow out a team relative to expectation, so like the point spread last night was 6 points. You beat them by 30. Wow. Your net ranking is going to get a really nice boost on that versus, say, you were up 30, you send in the second team, and then a 30-point lead turns into a 17-point win.
I didn't know that.
But it also – then you got to balance out also, like, of course you want the best seeding. That's the A1 priority. Build your resume. Win games obviously is first. Build your resume. Get the best seed possible. But then also there's like, don't you want to get Dre some minutes?
You would think.
Don't you want to get Amani some minutes? Not only for like their development, but also and then people probably belabor this point too much, but to keep them happy a little bit, like as far as the long term.
No doubt. There's no doubt. And with Shannon, you were going 7 deep, and now you're at 6 deep. I mean, Dan, I forgot to mention. Well, did I mention Dane? Yeah, I did. 4 minutes. That's weird to me too. Yeah, I'm like,
but I get
when
it.
it happened against Missouri, I just thought, okay, Brad, we got smoked last year, and Brad's sending a message. He's going to have a really good Christmas. He wants his guys feeling as good as possible when 2024 rolls around, and take this, Missouri, because there's no need for you to even show up at this game. But for some reason, you've beaten us 4 of the last 5. So I think he just kind of said, this is personal to me. Last night, I was shocked by that. Unless he just wants the wow factor around the country of, holy crap, Illinois doesn't have their best player, arguably. Well, probably their best player. And still won by 30 over a conference team in Northwestern. And this is not your parents' Northwestern. I can trust me on that one. So I don't know. Unless there was like some wow factor to it. But Big Def is right. I mean, it's a long conference schedule ahead.
It is. And I do want to, Muhammad listener brings it up. Scott Ritchie asked the question last night about the net and the scores. And if you're thinking about that, and in case we don't get that answer to you via Brad, I'll just paraphrase it. He's like, it'd be dumb not to have that in the back of your mind. That is a factor. So
there you go.
We'll see how this thing plays out the rest of the way. If you're playing Nebraska, although Nebraska is decent. If you're playing Minnesota and like you're trying to win by 50 versus,
that would be strange.
I don't know. Maybe it's an over extrapolation of a couple of games, but it is something that I've noticed. Like Terrence diving on the floor late against Missouri when you're up 30 and like, oh, you don't want him getting hurt,
right?
And some of the bench guys maybe not getting the run last night. We do have to catch a break. Coming up in about 5 minutes. Luke Goody joining us on the Tapman's Towing phone line. Look forward to that conversation. Continue to weigh in on the U of I Atlanta Lake text line 217-359-2255. This is The Drive.
WSJK ESPN 93.5 Tuscola, Champaign-Urbana, your home for the St. Louis Cardinals.
At an event in Iran honoring a killed Iranian general. Fox's Greg Palcott has more.
A double bomb blast at a large gathering in Iran today killed over 100 and injured more than 200. It happened near the grave of former Iranian General Qasem Soleimani, who was killed in a U.S. drone strike 4 years ago today. The Quds Force leader was responsible for organizing Iran-backed groups, including Hezbollah and Hamas. His militias have been blamed then as now for attacks on U.S. forces and bases. No one has yet claimed responsibility for today's attack, but Iran has branded it terror and vowed a strong and decisive response. It comes a day after a strike killing a Hamas leader in Beirut, reportedly the work of Israel. Experts do not think Israel was behind today's attack. In London, Greg Palcott, Fox News.
Russia and Ukraine exchanging hundreds of prisoners of war today. A deal sponsored by the United Arab Emirates. Ukrainian authorities say 230 Ukrainian prisoners of war returned home. Russia's defense ministry says 248 Russian servicemen have been freed from Ukrainian activity. America's listening to Fox News.
It's game day at Jim's house, and the spread is impressive.
Mike's already done some damage with the hot wings, and now he's dropping back and going deep for another slice of pizza.
I sure hope he brought the Pepto.
Mike knows the Pepto-Bismol provides fast 5-symptom relief from unexpected stomach upsets. He's no rookie.
The way he's throwing back those nachos, he's the GOAT.
Be ready for game day with Pepto-Bismol. When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed? Because no two people sleep the same. Only the Sleep Number smart bed lets you each choose your individual firmness and comfort, your Sleep Number setting. The Climate 360 smart bed is so smart it actively cools or warms up to 13 degrees on either side for your ideal sleep temperature. JD Power ranks Sleep Number #1 in customer satisfaction with mattresses purchased in store. The Queen Sleep Number C2 smart bed is now only $9.90 for a limited time. Prices higher in Alaska and Hawaii. For JD Power 2023 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. To find a store near you, visit sleepnumber.com.
2024 independent presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. announcing today he's gathered enough signatures to appear on the ballot in Utah come November.
It's the first of our 50 states in the District of Columbia that we are going to register and get on the ballot.
The state requires 1,000 signatures to qualify. Now Kennedy Jr. can officially file the run before a deadline of March 5th in the state. He says the states of Maine, New Hampshire, and North Dakota are refusing to send ballot petitions to the campaign. Former President Donald Trump has officially filed a challenge to reverse the decision to ban him off the ballot in the state of Maine. An appeal against a similar decision in Colorado could soon be heard by the Supreme Court. Fox's Rich Edson has more.
In their filing to overturn that decision from Maine's Democratic Secretary of State, Trump's attorneys write, quote, President Trump is aggrieved by that final order because the secretary was a biased decision maker who should have recused herself and made multiple errors of law and acted in an arbitrary and capricious manner. Maine's Secretary of State ruled the former president is ineligible for the primary ballot there because she says he engaged in an insurrection and violated the 14th Amendment. Using similar reasoning, there are lawsuits in nearly a dozen other states to strike Trump from the ballot. Trump still leads his Republican challengers by a significant margin.
And a new year, a new record for the national debt as Congress is on the brink of another government shutdown.
The U.S. national debt crossed the $34 trillion threshold just before the new year, about 3 months after hitting $33 trillion. The new figure is sure to play into ongoing spending debates in Congress over additional military aid to Ukraine and Israel and a government funding deadline to prevent a partial shutdown on the 19th of this month, and then another deadline on February 2nd. Republicans and Democrats agreed to a debt limit increase in June.
That's Fox's Jared Halpern reporting from Washington. In New York, I'm John Saucier, and this is Fox News.
It is The Drive with Sam Piper, ESPN Radio 93.5. We'll continue to talk Illinois and Northwestern. The Illini get it done in their Big Ten opener last night with a bang, 96-66, a 30-point win over Chris Collins' squad. Marcus Damask led the Illini, 32 points, 6 assists. Some really encouraging efforts around the team last night. 20 points for Justin Harmon, 4 for 5 from 3. Coleman Hawkins got it done defensively, also had yet another double-figure outing and scoring 13 points. That's 5 straight games for Coleman in double figures. That's the longest streak of his career. Quincy Guerrier, once again, a double-double, 14 points, 10 boards, playing the best basketball, really probably of his collegiate career, if not going back to that all-conference season that he had in the ACC when he was at Syracuse as a sophomore. It just seemed all around. Like Luke Goody comes in, 6 points, 5 rebounds. I loved his effort. Diving on the floor, it's like Lucas Johnson, like a little stretch there. The offensive rebounds, the ability to, while he's diving, like throw the ball off of a defender or a Northwestern jersey, then to get that extra possession, and that the crowd loved that, the bench loved that. There's an energy and edge about this team, especially last night. There's also, it's not just lip service right now when they talk about how connected they are.
Agree.
Again, we'll see. There'll be moments where there'll be a night where the shots don't go in. Maybe they lose a game they shouldn't lose, or they come off this high at some point. I would imagine it doesn't last out the rest of the 2 or 3 months left in the season. But it's easy to be connected when you're winning. But I do think that there's a lot to this squad just fitting together, both in terms of their skill sets, but also their personalities. And it seems like they just get along a lot, and it's fun to watch them play basketball right now.
You asked the question, and a lot of listeners responded. Basically, Sweet 16 is what I put them all together kind of without reading all of them, and a lot of them think still contend at least for second in the Big Ten. I still think it's not a very good Big Ten. So,
no doubt.
I think Illinois got a chance with what they have even now to definitely contend at the top of that league. And a Sweet 16 feels right for this team. I guess the way to look at it for me is try to imagine this team without Shannon ever on it, right? I mean, and obviously we hope that he's back, and then let's go have some fun, right, with this team. But if you came into this season without Shannon on it, I'm trying to think to myself what my projections would have looked like. They wouldn't be beating Northwestern by 30. I can tell you that. And the idea that Guerrier has really stepped up, like you just said, I mean, he was playing well with Shannon. But even when, how do I say this? Okay, he was playing well, and then he took a step up even with Shannon.
Yep.
And now you just feel like he's just out there to dominate. Coleman Hawkins, to me, personality-wise, emotional-wise, is the guy that's really kind of taking that next step now that Terrence isn't there. I feel like Coleman is wanting to be the leader of this team. Does that make sense? And should be, I think, in my mind. He's been here the longest, But I feel like whereas Gary A plays with emotion, don't get me wrong, Damask doesn't, which is fine. You know, I love everything about the dude. Luke Goody plays with hustle, obviously, and all these guys doing that. But I feel like Coleman has taken it upon himself not only to step up his game, as you mentioned, with the double digits in 5 straight, but emotionally, like,
yes,
he's always been an emotional guy. We know that. You know, he's one of those that he questions the officials way too much. I know we all hate it. You know, I don't like to see that stuff every time. But if he makes a big play, I mean, he's the first one. Last night he was over slapping hands with the crowd, which I thought was great. So I just see this team. So if I try to look at this team without Shannon, I guess I'd be surprised that they were this good. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
But now that I've seen it, I don't know why this team, even without him, couldn't be a Sweet 16 team. I think this is going to be a hard team to knock out in the NCAA, and I haven't always said that about Illinois teams in the last few years. I mean, last year's team I thought would be one of the easiest to knock out. It was the complete opposite of what you're seeing this year.
No consistency, togetherness wasn't there.
Nope.
Couldn't shoot from the outside.
Too many. Everybody wanted their shot. Everybody wanted their, our guy from Baylor wanted his. I can't think of his name for some reason.
Matthew Meyer.
It's amazing how I've just forgotten him. That's terrible that I have. Meyer wanted his. I don't.
It was your turn, my turn type of basketball.
That's right. Epps wanted his, and Sky wanted his when he was in there. And this season, it's just sometimes you're like, why didn't you shoot that? But they make an extra pass to a guy that's got a better shot. So Brad Underwood has got to be loving life right now. I know he's not with the whole Terrence Shannon stuff.
Yeah, right.
And obviously he would love to still have Terrence back, and he understands probably in his mind this could be this would be his best chance, I think, with Shannon. Well, I shouldn't say that, though. I don't know that I would say that with that Io Kofi team that lost. But regardless, this is a really good chance to make a run in March, and to not have Shannon obviously puts a damper on that. But otherwise, like last night watching that game, he has to be just sitting there thinking, I got to do something. I got to coach somehow. I got to get mad at him at something, like you alluded to in the first hour. So I'm going to yell at Quincy for something. You know, I mean, it's just, and not yell at him, but get on him about something to show it. But he's got to just be loving life.
He should be.
It's got to be such an easy team to coach.
I would imagine that the veteran presence, the experience that they have is something that is a coach's dream, that you feel like you don't have to maybe worry about just kind of the – number one, the mistakes that young guys make, the inconsistencies that young guys have, and then they just know how to prepare. They know how to go into a big game. They know how to be able to just go through the course of a season and not have to teach them, okay, this is how we go on the road.
Right.
This is how you pack your bag when you play your road game and whatnot. Anything like that. I know that I'm almost like taking that maybe a little bit too far, but
last year they had to do it.
Yeah, there was
a
lot of new guys, and just trying to blend it together. Yep. Now, you had to do some of that this year, but it just seems like it's been far more seamless. And then guys that have come back, like Coleman, like Ty, like Luke, Dane has been in there, obviously, as well. Terrence.
Yep.
That's been really good to have that established. And then there's leaders. Like you said, Coleman is part of the leadership. Terrence, when he was in there prior to the suspension, was obviously the alpha that they needed. And he's been ingrained in this program now. It's not a new guy coming in and not really maybe understanding. You know, I'm trying to get my surroundings, trying to figure out what even putting an Illinois jersey putting it on means to these people and whatnot. And now he has been able to get that and to be able to play the way they have without him says a lot about just kind of the cohesion, the other guys picking up the slack. And I think that it's a good point about Coleman being emotional. And again, like it falls back on when you win, emotions are good, feelings are good, all that. I feel like his emotions been far more positive of late. Now, it helps that he's been playing better, but I do think that his decision-making's improved. He's not taking as many ill-advised, off-balance shots. I haven't seen him whip the ball over his head, no-look style in a few games. So and look, we've come back to it a lot. Coleman probably gets more flack than he deserves.
There's no doubt.
And it is because of some of the plays that he makes, some of the gambles he takes, and obviously some of the motion that's tied to it. But defensively, we talked about it earlier in the show, he might be as valuable, and this guy was put on a huge pedestal for a good reason. I'm not entirely convinced he's not as valuable as Trent Frazier was as a defender.
Oh.
Like, it's just so rare to have a 5-man that can literally get switched onto anybody on the court, and you're not that worried about it.
I reacted like that because I hadn't thought of it. I hadn't thought
Another
of something
different
like that.
style of player. Like Trent as an on-ball defender, Trent's a guy you could never screen, and he was in your face, and he took a lot of charges and whatnot. And look, that's a high bar, admittedly, but like I think Coleman is just we'll probably notice it more after he's gone.
Yes.
Again, then I think about it, you're going to have Merez coming in. So maybe not if things play out well for Illinois. Life with Merez is pretty good as well. But I just think offensively, I understand the frustrations that people have. Even admittedly watching, you had to take that shot. Really, you tried to make that pass. But defensively, he opens so many things up for them to play this way. And his track record against the Murray brothers, obviously doing it last night, switching on to Bowie. There's a lot to be said for Coleman in that sense.
And I like that he gets it and goes. This team likes to get up and go, and obviously you've got to do that if you're going to be scoring over 93 straight games. But I like the idea that Coleman gets it, and he's unselfish, right? He's been unselfish to a fault at times. I don't know that he has been this year. And that's a bonus for him. That's a positive. I remember last year talking on the radio show about he needs to become less what am I trying to say? I mean, he needs to be more selfish in the sense that he needs to take more shots. He needs to understand that sometimes that next pass isn't the best thing for this team. Now, this season it's working, but I also think that Coleman's hunting shots, which I don't mind. And I was just looking. He had 9 shots last night. It's a good – he was 5 of 9, 2 of 5 from 3. So I would like to see that in double digits each game. There's no doubt about that. But I think that he's looking for shots. He hit that first shot where he had to step back next to Chris Collins and hit the 3. And then the next time down, I thought he was going to pull the trigger from way deep. And I was like, no. And he didn't. And to his credit, he didn't. And that would have been a little bit of a selfish – that would have been one of those, no, don't do that. And then if it goes in, great. But I think Coleman is taking the shot and is more assertive with his offensive game. Now, if an NBA scout came and told me to be more assertive, I guarantee you I would be. But I still feel like for Coleman, it's just not natural for him. It's natural for him to get everybody else involved. And I think he takes heat for that, sometimes warranted. But I think he takes heat for that when at times you should be praising him about how he's always trying to get everybody else involved in the game. All around, he plays an unbelievable game.
Yes.
And I think it'll spotlight more now without Terrence Shannon there. Now, hopefully that won't last that long. Who knows, right? Who knows what's going to happen with that. But I'd be fine, in other words, with Terrence coming back for the next game and Coleman settling back into that role he was playing, which was really good. But I feel like now – that the spotlight's more on him, and I think we'll start to understand a little bit more about Coleman, yet there's still going to be that game that's going to be frustrating.
Of course.
And he's got the tendency to get into foul trouble, which could hurt you in a game against Zach Edey or Wisconsin big, et cetera. But like you said, he's able to – it's hard to go against Zach Edey, but you're better off if you've got another big from the other team that likes to take you outside, because then you're comfortable knowing Coleman's going to go out right there with him. Edey, on the other hand, is going to be, just pounding it down underneath, and that's tough for anybody.
Anybody.
I don't care if it's Coleman or Kofi. Kofi had issues with that.
Yeah.
And we know how big Kofi was.
Yeah.
That was
Edey makes Kofi look like a regular human being.
That was unbelievable.
Which is just nuts.
It's a sight I'll never forget. It was President's Day, that Monday afternoon.
Yep.
And I was at the game, and I don't rarely go to games for basketball. And I was sitting there watching Kofi and Edey come out of a timeout, walking next to each other. And Kofi looked like he was my height. He didn't, but I could not believe how smallish he looked compared to Zach Edey, and we all know how large Kofi Cockburn was.
Yeah.
It's a sight I'll never forget seeing. I was just like, that's crazy.
It is. And going back to that stat line that you mentioned as far as his scoring last night, that being Coleman, 9 shots, 5 from 3, 4 inside the arc. I feel like at times he's just been so wrapped up in, I got to take a jump shot.
Good call.
It's got to be a pick and pop three. It's even maybe a step in or whatever it might be. He went to the rim last night. Like, the fact that they thought he was going to shoot a three at one point, he kind of pump faked, or just, I don't even know if he pumped. He went straight to the rim and threw it down. There have been times where it's like, you remember you dunked on Trace Jackson Davis last year at Indiana. There's a video. You can pull that up. Like,
you can do that.
You're 6'10" with long arms. You can attack the basket. So that's another layer of Illinois offensively. If he's going to see a lane and can go and drive, I think he gets in trouble sometimes where he has to overcomplicate it. If there's a guy in front of him and he kind of tries to shake him with the dribble and really try to make it fancy and add layers to what he has to do. But if it's a straight line, I think that's something that obviously just adds to it for him offensively too. So ever since he became a rotational player the last 3 years.
I thought you were going rotisserie chicken or something.
Yeah, those are good. Underrated. Underrated.
Huge underrated.
Yeah. I'm going to have to pick one of those.
In fact, that sounds good tonight.
I should probably go get one. I got to make a stop to get some milk anyway, so.
We just got our dinner plans figured out.
I'll text Haley. You're not cooking anything, are you? Rotisserie chicken.
I don't care if you are cooking something. I'm bringing rotisserie. No, I'm kidding. You better not do that.
But I did lose my train of thought.
Rotational player.
Rotational player. Last 3 years, and then obviously last 2 years, he's been thought of as more of a primary guy for Illinois. We've been just wondering and asking and wanting him to be consistent, reliable offensively on a night-to-night basis. Last 5 games, double figures, along with his defense. That's what you want out of Coleman Hawkins.
Amen. And again, I think without Shannon, which has kind of been the theme of what we've talked a little bit about today, I think you're going to see even more of the value of Coleman Hawkins. I really do. And I know we're efforting Luke Goody.
We are.
And I know what happens. We've done this long enough that a lot of times this is out of their hand. They set a time where they feel like they're going to be able to do it, and the next thing you know, Brad might say, hey, we're watching film right now of Purdue, so scrap anything else you're doing. I think the coaches, though, do a pretty good job probably of working with these guys, don't they, when it comes to the NIL stuff.
For sure.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? Like, you talk about NIL, and I remember we talked about this, about how it could really, and there's no doubt that it in the future could happen, et cetera, but how it could cause selfishness on a team. I mean, this team is just, it's crazy how well they work together. I mean, I still go back to the time where Justin Harmon did not take a shot on the baseline, and I don't recall what game that was. And Marcus Damask put his arm around him. It was like the ball went out of bounds on the next trip down, and the camera just happened to be on Damask. And Damask made a play, I think, to the rim and got fouled. But he put his arm around Harmon and just said, you got to shoot that. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I don't know. I just feel like you've added these pieces like Marcus Damask and Quincy Guerrier and Justin Harmon. You're throwing these new pieces in, and every stinking one of them have been better than the next.
Yeah.
And it's just unbelievable how that has worked. And when you look at the stat sheet, 14, 13, 32, now that stands out, 20. I mean, everybody's getting their – everybody's getting theirs. Does that make sense?
100%.
And it was happening with Shannon as well.
And when you move the ball, everybody feels like they're involved.
That's exactly right.
It's not like, you sometimes talk about in baseball, if a pitcher's walking too many guys, the fielders aren't getting the rhythm and there's an error because they haven't been able to field a play. Speaking of fielding, let's field a call. I'm going to blind answer this. I'm going to assume it's our guy, Luke Goody.
I bet it is.
On the Tapman's Towing phone line. Is this Luke Goody?
Okay, so the purpose of the call.
No.
Okay, purpose of me hanging up right now is that you're not Luke Goody.
Hey,
there's another call.
But maybe we ought to take a break.
Is this dangerous? Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, we better take a
break. Let's take a break. I don't know. That was thrilling.
Okay, the purpose of this, she got right to the point.
I got right to the hang up. I got to answer this other one. Stick with us. It's the drive.
You know that Big Bargain detergent jug is 80% water, right?
80% water? I thought I was getting a better deal because it's so big.
If you want a better clean, Tide Pods are only 12% water. The rest is pure, concentrated cleaning ingredients.
Ooh, pass me the intercom thingy.
Attention shoppers.
If you want a real deal, try Tide Pods.
Don't pay for water, pay for clean. If it's gotta be clean, it's gotta be Tide Pods.
Water content based on the leading bargain liquid detergent.
I'm Justin Ike, co-owner of Fred's Plumbing, Heating, Air Conditioning, Electric, and Underground.
So, Justin, tell me what you see as typical when it comes to sewer repair. Give me a scenario.
Your sewer's backed up and somebody comes along and says, you need this repair for X amount of dollars. Here's my price. And you don't think to go looking for another company or a second opinion because you don't feel like you have time.
So is it possible that you might get charged a little more because it's kind of a desperate moment? Do some companies do that?
Oh, absolutely they will. They know you're in a pinch. Typically, if you call us, me or Will can be out there within an hour to look at that problem for you. Whether you call me first or you call me second, make sure you give me a call.
Anything else, Justin?
You can always trust Fred's.
Great to know. Thank you. That's Justin Ike, the co-owner of Fred's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning, Electric, and Underground. If you want more information about this great 45-year family-owned company, just go to fredscu.com. That's fredscu.com.
Back on the drive with Sam Piper, ESPN Radio 93.5. It's time for one of our favorite segments, if not our favorite segment of the week. Although Jay Lehman's pretty good too. I don't want to make Jay come in next Monday and be like, Pipes, I heard what you said.
Hey, Luke Altmaier was pretty good too.
Yeah, he was. Luke Goody, though, joining us as he does every week. This segment brought to you by Dogtown Heating, Air, and Plumbing, your home's best friend. First Federal Savings Bank, local and trusted. Crossroads Contractor Supply, the right tools when you need it. Brian Hansen at State Farm Insurance. Visit brianismyguy.com. Carpenters Local 243, and also Max Twin City Recycling. Luke on the Tapman's Towing phone line. It is indeed Luke Goody. We had to call screen it, but Luke, what's up? It is you, right?
Yes, sir. It is me. Yep.
Hey, I got a funny one for you. So I was chatting with Altmaier. This is during the season, and I was driving down to our place near Marshall, and a coyote runs out in front of me and goes into the field, and I snap a quick picture, and I send it to Altmaier. I'm like, what do you think of that? And he goes, pop him.
Yeah. I love it.
I don't think there's seasons for coyotes. I think you can. I think that's open season all year, isn't it?
Yeah. Hey, you just say it was a nuisance, and then you can kill it whenever.
Good call on that. All right, you guys a little late. You were in meetings, etc. Obviously, a big one coming up against Purdue that we'll get to, but 30-point win last night against Northwestern. I mean, that is a good Northwestern team, Luke. What was that like, watching that, playing in it, and just realizing that you guys were just dominating the Cats?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for us was how fast we started last night. Coleman coming out and hitting that three right away, and Ty getting downhill on the second possession. Just being able to start quick like that against a good team kind of takes them out of their rhythm. You know, they're more of a slow-paced team. They like to have lower possessions in games, really do their thing, get Boo the ball, under 10 seconds and just let him create. And we kind of got them out of that. When you start up quick against teams like that, an example is Colgate, too, teams that like to keep it lower possessions, and they're playing from behind. It forces them to play a little bit faster. So we were able to, speed them up a little bit, make shots. Early on, the score was like 19-12 or something like that after the first media timeout. So being able to play quick and be efficient on the offensive end really speeds up teams like that. That works well in our favor.
Luke, 3 straight games of 90-plus for this offense, 2 of those even without your leading scorer in Terrence Shannon. I mean, the last time Illinois has done that, you weren't even born. It was 30 years ago. What are you seeing offensively that has led to this just explosion recently?
Yeah, I think it's buying in of guys into their new roles. Is what I would say. Marcus, you've seen it all season. He's been able to score at a high level, FAU, and now he's the primary ball handler, the primary scorer. We're looking at him to go and create. And shots didn't fall for him against Fairleigh Dickinson. And he had 11 assists. And last night he was able to shoot the ball really well and had 32 points. So putting it in his hands has been great for us, and it's kind of like pick your poison almost. Like every time Marcus got doubled, Quincy or I would cut to the basket, or Justin would get a wide open three in the corner, or Coleman would get a wide open three in the top of the key, or if they didn't double, then Marcus would go get a bucket. So it's almost Penn State-esque in the sense that you honestly just have to pick what you're going to give up in a sense.
Luke, I want to jump in because it's right where I want to go with regards to this offense. Sometimes we, maybe in the media or fans, talk about how, well, this team doesn't seem like they share the ball enough, or this team looks like they share it so well it's ridiculous, and obviously you guys fall in that ladder. Have you ever, whether at Illinois or high school or an AAU, have you ever played on a team where guys just hunted shots? And is there something to that? Because it does look like this year you guys are so unselfish, and it always seems to lead to the next shot that is even better than the one before. Have you played on a team before that where maybe they're just hunting shots, and is that real?
Yeah, I mean, shoot, in high school I was the one hunting shots, so I can't really speak to playing on a team of guys that were hunting shots when I was the one doing it. But I mean, this team being so unselfish it really opens up so much. You even see it with Dane. Our whole scouting report against them was they trap the post. Dane, if you catch it, don't dribble. Just pass it out. And, I mean, he's running in transition, catching the ball and throwing it right back. Like that, usually we're just making plays that, maybe in the past guys wouldn't have made. So I think that's the growth that you see with this team that has taken us, to the level that we're at right now is just the recognition that everybody is capable and everybody can create, So it's really hard to guard us when you don't know where the pass is going to or who's going to be passing the ball in situations like that.
Luke Goody is our guest on the Tapman's Towing phone line. Offensively, deserves a lot of credit, obviously, but it was a complete effort. It was the other side of the ball, too. Defensively, what you guys were able to do in terms of making life tough for Bowie and Ty Berry. I'll admit it, Luke. I said yesterday I wondered about those quick guards against your guys' big lineup, and obviously that would include, Marcus having to check one of those guys, you having to check one of those guys, and both of you really held up exceptionally. Like, how did you see that matchup, and what led to you guys making it tough for them to get downhill and use their quickness against you?
Yeah, with Northwestern, we know they got a lot of shooters to surround Boo. Ty Berry's a good shooter, and Ryan Langborg, the guys that me and Marcus were checking, they like to run them off a lot of off-ball screens and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, it's really just Bowie and a high ball screen, and that's basically their offense. So we wanted to neutralize the other guys. He's going to get his points. He's a good player. Been in the league now for 5 years, so he definitely knows how to score the ball. But our whole thing going into it was you just can't give those extra guys threes because we can live with him having 20 to 30 points, but we can't live with Ryan Langborg and Ty Berry and Brooks also having 15 to 20. So being able to kind of neutralize those guys, Marcus did a great job all game, until the end when we kind of got a little bit tired. But, at the end of the day, I think Langborg was, 1 for 7 from the field. Ty Berry got going, but Brooks was 3 for 12. And, we were able to play some good defense. So when you kind of neutralize the other guys that really impact their team in winning outside of Boo, I think it helps us out big time.
Luke, there were a lot of loud eruptions last night. Great crowd, obviously great performance to cheer on. Coleman with a dunk, Quincy with one. But I don't know if there was a louder eruption than when you dove on the floor, saved that ball, threw it off a guy, and had that possession stay with you guys. Like, how important is that for you to make those plays? And I got to ask a side question. Do you know who Lucas Johnson is? Because you had people talking about him last night.
I do not recognize that name, but I also did see DeMonte Williams comparisons.
Yeah.
And, I remember coming into the program and, just watching a lot of the hustle plays that he that's one thing that I respected about him when he was here is he didn't numbers like that, but he was always making the winning plays. So, I know what I'm capable of on the offensive side, and, the last couple of games I've been shooting it great, so I got the to, help winning and impact winning. And for me, that, is guarding my guy to the best of my abilities and making those winning plays. So when there's a ball that kind of sets the tone for the game, and, when you have those opportunities, you got to take them because now you have the other bench and the other coaches, mad at each other because we're getting to the 50-50 balls and we're making those extra plays for the extra possessions. So my mindset right now, I'm not been shooting the ball great since break. Being able to make plays, it kind of negates that because I can still play on the floor and be productive for my team.
I just put a note down here. Next year tailgate season, get Lucas and Luke together. We are going to make that happen. You've got to know Lucas Johnson because he's one of the most unique and was one hell of a player as well. So we'll get that figured out next year. Luke, it didn't startle me. I think it was awesome the way you kind of replied to Derek's question about guarding Boo and that crew, and you were talking about how things went, and then you just said something like, but you know what, it's still just Boo and taking care of that. Do you sense now with you in your third year through this league, do you just sense that it's not easy on the court? I get that. But to prepare and to get ready for the next game, isn't it amazing how being experienced helps so much when it comes to preparation?
It is 100%. Like, the way you phrase that, it's almost like the coaches that you play every year in the Big Ten, it's almost the same exact stuff every year. You know, players change and
sure,
transfer portal and freshmen and they new guys, but at the end of the day, the offenses are still going to be similar. The defenses are still going to be similar. Like Northwestern every year has tagged from the low hole, so we knew that the open side with the two guys in the shakes, the low guy is going to be open because they're going to tag with their guard on the big. They're going to do that high heads and big. You know, we know Purdue is going to run all these actions to throw the ball into Zach Edey and then space out to get their shooters open. We know what they're going to do on defense. It's all like being in my third year now. It's more of I don't have to think. I just know what's going to happen. So that's like to your point, having that time and playing against all these teams, you kind of get a sense of what teams are going to do, and they kind of do that year in and year out. You know, there'll be a little wrinkle here and there if we start exposing stuff, but for the most part, I mean, these coaches stay pretty similar from year to year, and you kind of get a sense of how to play against that.
Good call.
Luke, you guys have been put in a tough situation with Terrence being out. I obviously don't want to ask you to have to comment on that situation itself, but just the response of the team and having to come together. What have you seen out of this group to allow yourselves to be without your leading scorer, without a guy who seemed to be an alpha leader, and you guys still haven't – you haven't missed a beat. You almost have even just upped your game even more.
This is the most connected team I've ever been a part of. And I've been on some special teams where, we had some very special bonds from each teammate. My senior year of high school was one of the most connected teams I was ever on, always hanging out off the court and just special bonds that'll be friendships for life. And this team it's even more connected than that, man. We have so much fun as a team. Everybody's always hanging out off the court. And I know people listening are going to love to hear this. And, it's kind of cliche, but I think that's really what's, keeping us at our best right now is, we're so connected. We trust in one another. We have fun when we're at the gym. We don't look at practice as a burden. We look at it as, okay, we get better and we get to be with each other, hang out, and do stuff like that. So when you have that mindset and you're there for each other and you love your teammates like we do, it makes it fun. It doesn't make it like the practice is tough and all the extra stuff tough. It just makes it enjoyable.
A battle of two top 10 teams in the country coming up on Friday, Mackey Arena. I can imagine that's one it speaks for itself in terms of excitement. But you kind of touched on it there in terms of what Purdue does, presenting challenges with Edey and some shooters around him. But how do you look at this game and just what's on your guys' plate going into Friday?
Yeah, they're good. We've seen Zach for the last 3 years, so we know what they're going to do. Braden Smith's playing really good this season, shooting about 50% from three, so he's really, really playing good basketball. And, Fletcher's been shooting the ball well of lately, and, they got some good pieces, Lance Jones and Trey and some guys off the bench, so we know what they do. They're going to get the ball to Zach, and he's going to get his, and we got to be ready to go. So it's going to be a fun game, man. This is what you play college basketball for. Two top 10 teams on the road. So I'm excited to go play there. I'm excited to show everybody, what we can do, and it should be a good game.
Before we let you go, I got to ask you, the Illinois NIL store released some pictures of these Funkos they've made. Have you seen yours? And you got a comment. That's a pretty good, pretty cool one. I might have to put that in my son's room.
That's what I'm saying. It's sick. Unfortunately, they don't sell them because I think it was just like an AI rendering or something. But they need to sell them. I thought that was sweet.
I did too.
They
Those
need
are
to
awesome.
Make them or something some bobbleheads because people would collect those and stuff like that. I think that'd be really cool.
I want one.
I do too.
I want a Luke Goody one in my son's.
I want a Luke Goody one too.
That's awesome. Well, great win, my friend. Great win, and we'll be, of course, all will be dialed in at Mackey on Friday night. Keep it up, my friend. It's amazing how you guys are playing. 90-plus points in 3 straight games. And Luke Goody's out there getting tons of minutes, and I'm loving every second of it. By the way, my son got a Luke Goody jersey for Christmas.
Sweet.
So there you go.
Let's go.
Santa dialed it up.
Santa always dials it up in our house. Pretty well. All right, buddy. Oh, by the way, how was Christmas? How were the dogs? How was just sitting there doing nothing?
Yeah, it was good. It was great. It was a short break, but, I haven't been shooting the best since I went home. So I've been giving my parents a hard time that they didn't feed me well enough, and, I didn't do enough. So, it was good, though. It was great family time, great to see the family, and, it was good to see the dogs. So I'm happy to be back, though, and ready to go. So,
Love it.
Great stuff as always, Luke. Look forward to watching the game on Friday. We'll talk to you next week.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you guys.
All right, buddy.
Luke Goody on the Tapman's Towing phone line. That segment brought to you by some great sponsors. Dogtown Heating, Air, and Plumbing, your home's best friend. First Federal Savings Bank, local and trusted. Crossroads Contractor Supply, the right tools when you need it. Brian Hansen at State Farm Insurance. Visit brianismyguy.com. By Carpenters Local 243. And also by Max Twin City Recycling.
I'm still laughing at him going, I was the one hunting shots. So I don't know how to answer your question, Lon. He's so fun to talk with. I love at the end when he's always like, appreciate you guys. Did he say he was a Cardinals fan?
I don't think he's a big baseball
guy. That's right. That's right. We asked him that. Real quick, I noted this in the first hour. Cardinals baseball fans, or baseball fans in general, next Friday the 12th at noon, it's free. Come out to the iHotel for the Cardinals Caravan, 2024 Cardinal Caravan, and get this, Jordan Walker will be at iHotel. We are getting Jordan Walker to come into town along with Andre Palance, Packy Norton, and Victor Scott II, who was pointed out had 94 stolen bases last year. Also, Chip Carey, Brad Thompson, Benji Molina. Benji is a hoot. Brad Thompson is really good, and Chip is just so good in that role. So we're excited about this. It's brought to you by us here at SJ Broadcasting. We're excited to be the key to bringing this caravan into town. So Jordan Walker.
Would it be unprofessional for me to bring my Jordan Walker rookie card and a Sharpie?
Hell no. Because we get him. See we get him in the.
I know.
We get him early.
Yep.
In the media room, and we get to visit with him and kind of get. That's. I'll tell you what's so fun. The older I've gotten, it's still cool. Don't get me wrong. It's still cool to interview guys like Jordan Walker and such. But like last season, to just be able to talk to those guys like Mason Wynn and. I've kind of fallen into that now where it's just I'd rather just visit with them and get to know them, right?
Yep.
And it's just so cool to hear their stories on how they kind of got to where they are and what they expect, and it's just really cool. So I wouldn't feel bad at all about bringing that baby and letting Jordan Walker sign it. Maybe I need to go buy one.
Yeah.
You don't have to, do you?
I might be able to find another one.
Ooh, if you got one.
Let's get that done.
Let's do it.
Some would call it unprofessional. Some would call it opportunistic. Speaking of which, let's take the opportunity.
I don't care anymore, right? I'm to the age now. I don't care,
man. Although I'm gonna have to wear the Cardinals hat to balance the thing. I've been repping the Diamondbacks hat a lot that I got in Arizona. I need to bring the Cardinals one back out. But as far as opportunities, let's take the opportunity to catch a break, and then when we return, play some Brad Underwood from last night. Spoke to the media following a huge win, a feel-good win for the Illini, 96-66 against Northwestern. If you want to weigh in, you can. 217-359-2255 on the U of I Illini Link text line. This is The Drive.
Towing celebrates 50 years of serving Central Illinois. We're always seeking good people to serve our great customers. Our team of expert tow professionals would like to interview others with CDLs, previous tow experience, or a strong interest in serving others. If you enjoy serving people, love working in the outdoors, and looking for a career, not just a job, we should talk soon. Do you have a strong desire but lack the experience? We should still talk. Visit our career page at tapmanstowing.com.
Accumulation, preservation, generation. At Busey Bank, these are the principles we use to build meaningful financial partnerships with our clients and their families. With sound advice and vast resources, partner with Busey for a personalized approach to your legacy. Busey Bank, building business, growing wealth since 1868. Proud to be the official bank of the Fighting Illini. Member FDIC.
Get the roof your home deserves by Roof Doctors, your residential roofing specialist that has always offered the best warranties in the industry, like our non-prorated 50-year warranty. Our customers love that we are family-owned and locally operated. We make our customer needs our top priority. With over 30 years experience and the best customer service, give Roof Doctors a call today for your free estimate at 328-7529. In your community and for your community, Roof Doctors.
You know, it's so rare in this league. Northwestern's really good, it's a little misleading when you make shots. And tonight we made shots, and we got good looks, but we made shots. And I thought that Ty, actually got us going early. And unfortunately picked up a couple quick ones, but obviously Marcus was huge, and we had a pretty good idea, where their doubles were coming. Marcus is really hard to bother in a double team, and both he and Ty, because they're big and strong, and there's cylinder rules that have to be watched, and so. But I thought Coleman Hawkins was elite on the defensive side. I thought Quincy had some very well timed cuts against what their rotations were. And again, 10 of 18 from three, and you shoot 62%. I'll be excited to really start watching the guts of the game. To see how it was, try to take the made shots out of it. But great game for Justin. Again, 30 minutes. I thought he's being rewarded for his hard work, and that's tremendous to see. So, I thought that defensively we did a good job forcing. They shot 50% from three, but a bunch of those were late. But I thought we did a good job on Boo. No assists, 4 turnovers, and he's going to be in action, so he's going to score some points. But again, I just thought we did what we needed to do on that side tonight.
Brett, obviously you go booty ball, and Chris said it reminded him of Jalen Pickett, like you talked about. But how key are those big men you have to making this all work? Like, this personnel group you have, is this better than you expected it to be?
I've always said that Coleman's a really, really good shooter, and he's proving that. But he's also a really good passer, and he's very cerebral in his slip outs and everything else. His ability to decide when to roll, and so all that becomes really important. And then. Again, Quincy's a great cutter. He's a violent downhill driver. So, yeah, and I think the one thing is we have multiple guys that can do it. It's not just Pickett. We're going to try to get into it with, as we started the game with Ty. When we saw Boo on Ty, that was the go mode. And unfortunately, got in foul trouble. We also had some situations where we like it with Quincy, but again, they can all really pass, and they're big and strong. So doubles have been they've handled them.
Brad, you said to us the other day about Justin that this new role at Illinois couldn't have been easy for him to adjust to early on. What are you seeing that has allowed him to make it look easier?
Well, he's simplifying. He's not trying to do too much. I thought at times you can try so hard to be a really good player, and sometimes it's just settling into what the offense gives you, what we need you to do, run really hard, guard your tail off. The ball instinctively finds him a lot. And then, it's shoot open shots, and if they fly at you, drive it. And it's been that simple, but it doesn't happen like that. It takes time.
Brad, at what point was what you're doing with Marcus right now come into your vision? Was this something you thought about when you recruited him, or when you got him in the summer and played with it? When did you lean into that the way you have?
Well, we knew he could do it because he did a lot of it at Southern Illinois. I mean, he found his way into post-ups from different areas. And so we knew that was going to be I don't know if we knew it was going to be like this, and we really knew, we really thought about it a lot more with Ty when we moved him to the point that, okay, this is a guy that can be because he's in our league, a Pickett guy, and it's just blossomed from there. And again, Coleman and Luke and all those guys are keys because they can make shots.
He had 21 assists Friday against Fairleigh Dickinson, 17 on 35 makes tonight. Just what are you seeing from the ball movement where you're getting those numbers now?
The right reads, and unselfish play. It's turning down a good one to get a great one, and I think that there's you not only have to be a good shooter, but you got to be a really good passer, and you got to have some instincts and feel and. Our turnovers are down, or 10 turnovers tonight in a game that you scored 94, whatever we scored, it's 96, and you're going to have a few, but we're a very unselfish, connected group.
Coach, can you just talk to the scouting report for this game and the matchups you thought you could exploit and actions you think you could run out of the double teams in the post?
Well, we knew their scheme, and we know what they like to do. I mean, I think they were one of the best defenses last year in the country, and but again, we felt like that there were some challenges that they might have guarding us, and again, if Boo's going to get 20, we want to make him guard at the other end. We want to have him be responsible for for having to guard there, but. Again, it was just kind of finding the right matchup at the right time, and giving the ball to Ty or giving the ball to Marcus. Tonight it was a lot of Marcus, and and then just making plays and reads out of it.
Coleman, you mentioned Coleman's defense. What does he give you defensively that
everything
allows you to do all this?
Everything that you don't have to coach. And what I mean by that is he is instinctive. He's smart. He's coming over in timeouts. He's talking to me constantly. I why did they score there? And he knows that it didn't even enter. Doesn't understand. The play might not have had him in it. He just understands everything about that side of the floor. And then he's got length, and then he's got the mobility to guard a lot of guys. And and we got him on a switch there with Boo in the first half, and he's pretty good with that. And so he does everything we don't coach, and then he knows our stuff really well, and he knows the scouting report really well.
Brad, the effort plays tonight, Luke diving on the floor, just seemed like you guys had a energy and edge to you. How did you see that?
It's usually, I wasn't very happy at the one at the end of the first half when Barnheiser's, I think they got 3 offensive rebounds, and there was a loose ball, and we didn't get on it. And that was one of the first comments I made at halftime. And you always remember the ones that you don't get more than you remember the ones we actually do get. But we talk about those things daily. That's winning a possession like that is, one, very deflating for your opponent, but it helps you win a game that you maybe is in a 2-possession game is a difference maker, and all that is effort and want to and desire and wanting to win worse than your opponent, and excuse me, and Luke's great at that, and we got a whole team full of guys like that.
Brad, this last week obviously could have been a distraction, a speed bump for your team. What do you credit their focus and their confidence through that to?
They're very connected, as I've said. I keep going back to that. I don't know what other word to use. And they have tremendous desire and passion, and then they all believe in their abilities. And it's a tribute to them. It really is.
Brad, we've heard the term connected from literally everyone we talk to. So when did you know, and what as a coach are you looking for that you kind of maybe see those signs that it's to the level that you guys are describing it as?
If I'm not anything else, and I think everybody else will do, I pay attention to literally everything that involves our players, like who hangs out, how they hang out, who they're, are there little cliques, are there little this or that, and you start doing that right away, and it has been like remarkable. Just remarkable how this group as a whole hangs out. It doesn't matter. You got Quincy coming in from Oregon and Justin coming in